This is about the security of our world, the security of the United States of America. Because as president, I have no higher priority than the safety of Americans being held hostage around the world.
President Biden speaking this week about the atrocities in Israel, even as the standstill on Capitol Hill continued to drag on, limiting some of the actions Congress can take when it comes to helping our allies or even keeping our own government funded come next month. Today, we're getting reaction from Indiana lawmakers on the situation there in Israel and the vote for a new House Speaker, which saw another big shakeup, a new nominee late in the week, Jim Jordan. Though a lot of questions still remain about what could happen next amidst this ongoing crisis overseas. But we start in the nation's capital today with the latest from our Washington bureau. Here's Hannah Brandt.
Congress is in chaos, with even lawmakers wondering who the next speaker will be.
It is a mystery that is yet to be solved.
Congressman Steve Scalise dropped out of the race Thursday night after failing to get enough support. Then Congressman Jim Jordan decided to get back into the competition, and Congressman Austin Scott jumped in to challenge him. In a closed-door meeting on Friday afternoon, Republicans voted to nominate Jordan.
I think I can unite the conference. I think I can go tell the country what we're doing and why it matters to them.
But to become speaker, Jordan will ultimately need 217 votes on the House floor.
I think it's yet to be seen if he'll have the votes, and hopefully he will. Of course, I'm supporting Jim Jordan.
The ongoing battle is causing bitter infighting among Republicans, and until they elect a speaker, the House is left at a standstill.
We've allowed emotion to get in the way of logic and in the way of the necessity to actually govern.
But Republicans still hope they can find consensus.
I'm for working out those issues and seeing if we can move forward.
The sooner they pick a speaker, the sooner Congress can get back to work.
We owe it to the American people to get through this process as quickly as possible, but also with the rigor and the due diligence.
In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Let's get some reaction now from some of our congressional delegation, including my interview with Congressman Greg Pence and also Congressman Rudy Yakim, who spoke with our Washington bureau earlier this week.
We need to get back to the business of Indiana's 2nd District, back to the business that people sent us there to do. Inflation is at an all-time high, and the Biden administration isn't getting it done on a number of fronts, whether it's the border, whether it's our international security policies. We're clearly seeing the things that are happening over in Israel.
Getting the appropriation bills done in a timely manner, managing what we're spending, manage the debt ceiling, get that all under control. That's certainly number one. The political issue is another one, but I think the longer days, more days that go by that we haven't addressed this speaker issue, the worse it will look from a political point of view. But also, my biggest concern is we're supposed to run the government here, and we're not doing that right now.
And of course, all of this also happening amidst the ongoing attacks in Israel. Today, we're hearing from both of Indiana's senators and talking with other elected officials from our state. Our Hannah Adamson also heard from a Hoosier whose daughter was there in Israel when it happened.
They were under siege for 15 hours.
He says while his daughter did escape to safety, 20 of her peers died, 2 of them in her arms.
She was going to go to a funeral of one of the soldiers that she said saved her life, but the funeral was delayed. I think the reports that, that they might be sending rockets to gatherings of people like that at funerals.
Several Indiana leaders demanding the U.S. condemn the attack.
We have to look at the assistance that we can provide, and I think all options should be on the table.
This as the House of Representatives currently has no leader. Senator Todd Young telling our sister station in Fort Wayne Congress needs to provide more critical armaments to Israel, but is restricted without a House Speaker.
So I think it's really important that House Republicans come together, they identify another speaker in short order, and I think that'll happen.
Representative Greg Pence says he's confident the House will draft a resolution in support of Israel with or without a speaker.
We would condemn the activities that have occurred by Hamas and Hezbollah, whether the dollars are part of that. I think we have to see how long this goes.
Reporting from Indianapolis, I'm Hannah Adamson.
All right, we heard from Senator Young there, and this week we also caught up with Senator Mike Braun, who shared these thoughts on the attacks in Israel earlier this week.
I think we'll do what we've done for most of our allies. It's be there supportive. We make a small investment each year into Israel, and they are good stewards of using it. I think we'll be there to show that if the thing does escalate, get out of hand, that we're nearby.
And this week, our Washington bureau also caught up with Congressman Jim Baird to get his thoughts on the situation overseas.
And I tell you, when you see people doing those kinds of things to babies and to women and children, it's just very aggravating to me.
More reaction from Indiana's delegation. Congressman Larry Bucshon said, "I stand with the people of Israel, a key ally and friend to the United States. We must condemn this ruthless terror by Hamas and fully support Israel's right to defend itself." Congressman Andre Carson said, "I wholeheartedly condemn this latest show of violence and recognize its impact on countless families and our Jewish brothers and sisters across the world. This latest escalation of violence painfully demonstrates the urgent need for just and lasting peace." Carson calling for a two-state solution there in the Middle East. While the focus this week has certainly been on the atrocities there in Israel, we recently asked Bucshon and Carson about how this recent chaos in Congress, this standstill with the speaker vote, could also impact our ability to help our allies not only in the conflict there in Israel, but also in Ukraine. Do you think some of that funding may now be in jeopardy as these talks continue with a new speaker here moving forward?
Well, there's a growing isolationist movement in the Republican Party, particularly in the House. And honestly, it's a good part of that is the White House's fault. Because what people like me are asking for is accountability. And my constituents want to know, look, if we're going to continue to provide money for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians, which I think we should, then we have to have more transparency. The American people want to know where the money's gone and for what. And also, we have to focus on ourselves. We're not doing anything on the southern border. So, I would blame the White House for this problem that we have right now on Ukraine. Early in the year, everyone recognizes the history of Eastern Europe and why it's important to stop people like Putin. But now the constituents and a lot of members of Congress are saying, well, hold on a minute here. If we don't get any information from this administration about where the money's going, then it's going to be difficult for us to approve more money for Ukraine. I support the Ukrainian effort, but I also support more transparency and more accountability on behalf of the people that I represent.
So do you want to see more funding for Ukraine in this next funding package?
I need to see why it's necessary and what they're planning to spend it on.
What about the funding for Ukraine? Is that somewhat jeopardized potentially as part of the House funding package, depending on who becomes the next speaker?
I think it could be. I think that there are many in the Republican caucus who have deep concerns about Ukraine funding, and the Ukrainian people are crying out for the support of the U.S., but at the same time, we have very real issues impacting communities across the country, especially here in Indianapolis, especially across the Hoosier State.